Welcome back to Unboxing OD. I'm Kenneth Pearson, and I'm glad you're here. Whether you're walking the familiar hallways of OD work or just stepping into the field, this space is for you. For the practitioners, leaders, and everyday change makers doing the meaningful and often invisible work of guiding organizations through growth, challenge, and change. Today's episode is one I've been looking forward to. We're going to be talking about storytelling, not as a soft skill or a marketing tool, but as one of the most effective strategies we have in organizational development. Storytelling is how we make sense of complexity. It's how we bring others along when data falls flat. It's how we build buy-in, invite empathy, and give people something to hold on to when everything around them is shifting. So in this episode, we'll explore why storytelling matters in OD, how to craft a compelling change narrative, and what it looks like when stories shift systems. I'll also share a case study from a past engagement, one where a shift in story made all the difference. And before we close, I'll share a few exciting updates, including a new invitation for those of you who've been listening along and thinking, I might have something to say here too. So, grab that cup of coffee and let's dive in. Let's start with something most of us know intuitively. People don't remember spreadsheets. They remember stories. They remember how something made them feel, what it reminded them of, and what it helped them understand. As OD practitioners, we often find ourselves navigating complexity. Organizational change isn't just linear. It's messy, full of nuance, contradiction, and emotion. A well-told story doesn't erase that complexity, but it helps people engage with it. It makes the abstract feel personal. It gives shape to what otherwise feels like noise. Think about the last time you had to explain a new initiative, a shift in leadership, or a difficult restructure. Did people lean in or check out? The difference often lies in whether the message connected at a human level. And stories are how we do that. When someone hears a story that mirrors their experience, it builds trust. When a leader shares a vulnerable narrative of learning, it builds credibility. When an organization ties a change initiative to a shared story of growth, resilience, or legacy, it becomes something people want to be part of, not just something they're told to accept. So, how do we do it? How do we craft a change narrative that resonates? First, start with why. Not the organizational why, but the human why. What's at stake if we stay the same? What's possible if we evolve? Invite people to see not just the plan, but the purpose. Second, be honest. Storytelling doesn't mean spinning. It means naming. Good change stories acknowledge discomfort. They admit uncertainty. And that honesty actually makes the message more trustworthy. Third, focus on progression, not perfection. People want to see a path. They want to know where they've been, where they are, and where they're going. It's not about promising a flawless future. It's about showing that there's a direction, and they have a role in shaping it. And lastly, include them in the story. Use language that says we, not you. Remind them that this isn't change happening to them. It's change we're walking through together. Let me share something that's helped in many of my consulting engagements. When I'm introducing a new framework, initiative, or intervention, I never start with the mechanics. I start with a story. It might be a personal story. It might be a story about another organization with similar challenges. Or sometimes it's a metaphor, something abstract that mirrors what the organization is experiencing. The goal is to create a moment of resonance, something that says, you're not alone in this. This is normal, and we have options. Stories help people feel seen. They soften resistance. And in environments where OD work is still misunderstood or undervalued, stories can shift perception. They help leadership see not just the ROI, but the human cost of not changing. They help teams move from defensiveness to curiosity. And they make space for people to locate themselves in the broader picture. When we use storytelling to build buy-in, we're not manipulating, we're aligning. We're saying, here's what's true, here's what's possible, and here's how you fit into that journey. Let me share one quick story from a past consulting engagement. The organization was struggling with morale after several rounds of leadership turnover. The strategy had changed 3 times in 2 years. Teams were tired, skeptical, and understandably cautious. Rather than jumping straight into planning or training, I facilitated a series of listening sessions. We asked employees to share what they remembered about when the organization felt at its best. What came out were stories of cross-functional wins, of supportive managers, of creative problem-solving when budgets were tight. From those stories, we co-created a new narrative, not about returning to the past, but about honoring what had worked and using it to inform the future. We framed the change initiative not as a reset, but as a return to the spirit of what had always made them resilient. The subtle shift in story changed how the initiative landed. Engagement rose. People felt ownership because they weren't just watching the story unfold, they were writing it. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools we have in OD, not because it simplifies the work, but because it humanizes it. When you tell a story, you invite people to make meaning, to connect, to imagine something better. And when people feel part of a story, they're more likely to believe in its direction and contribute to its outcome. At Pearson & Pearson LLC, storytelling is part of how we approach every consulting engagement. Whether it's helping teams realign, guiding organizations through transitions, or working with leaders to design intentional strategies, we use narrative to connect the tiers of our framework, from the foundational core to impact and outcomes. That framework, the flow of 5 tiers, is the foundation of our work. And if you haven't yet, I invite you to check out episode 15 to get a better idea of what it's about. The book releases on May 27, 2025, wherever books are sold, and it's written for the people doing this work with care and courage, often behind the scenes. And speaking of people, I want to start inviting more of you into this space. Unboxing OD is about real stories, real experiences, and the real work of organizational development. If you have a story to share, a perspective to offer, or just want to have a conversation about what OD looks like in practice, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at info@pearsonpearson.llc or just send me a message on LinkedIn. Let's build this conversation together. Until next time, keep showing up with curiosity, keep speaking the stories that matter, and keep unboxing the heart of organizational development. Take care.